वेलकम टू माय चैनल इसके स्ट्रीट बॉय। तो आज हम इसके
auto
साथ एक छोटा
auto
सा
completion of this key
सिंपल सा एक
ml.
क्वेश्चन
That's
है
it,
जो
and
मैं
I will
लास्ट
press
में मेरे
tab.
वीडियो में
You
दे
see,
दूंगा,
the
उसको
auto
सॉल्व भी।
completion of this sublime text is one of the feature of sublime text that it helped me, not it saved my time, right? It gave me this autocomplete feature, right? It gave me some highlights, it gave me some indentation means that the spacing, that this is easier for us to actually it makes easier for us to read this thing, right? So okay, this is a head tag, and inside this head tag there's a title tag, so we can easily depict this thing from this indentation that this is inside this head tag, right? So these are all the things, all the functionalities of what sublime text. As I told you, it differs from editor to editor. Now let's suppose if I have a notepad file and I'm trying to save this file. Let's try to save this file in similar fashion, and I try to save this file on the desktop, and let's call it as f.txt. Now I have saved. Okay, I need to save this file again. Let's try to save this as html, right? So now let's try to save this file as f.html, right? So now let's save this file. So this is an html file. Now if I write html and then press a tab, so nothing happens. Okay, so there is no order completion in this notepad file, right? You have to write each and everything by your on your own, right? So this is not the feature, or this is the difference between one editor and the other. Okay, so there is no auto completion, no indentation in this notepad. It's the simplest editor. Okay, but I recommend, if you're trying to learn this thing, or you're learning this html for the first time, I highly recommend you to use notepad. But if you're from if you can remember things quickly, then it's okay, you can switch to sublime text. So you see now the difference between notepad and the sublime text, right? So now let's close this file, and we don't want to save this. Now let's talk about the other elements that were here. So you see, if I remove all these things, now you see this is the root element, and inside this contains all these things. Okay, we will talk about this title tag in the future slides. Okay, so now let's talk about this paragraph tag. Okay, so let's suppose this is a p tag, and then I wrote p and then I pressed a tab. So what it represents, this represents a paragraph. So when I wrote a, let's suppose I wrote something in it. Okay, I will be writing this lorem word, and then I will be pressing a tab. So what this does, this will give me some random text. This text means nothing, but this is some gibberish text, but it doesn't mean anything, but it looks good. If you're trying to write something and which doesn't mean anything, instead of writing something this, right, we usually write this thing. It's better practice, or it's better to use this lorem ipsum content. Okay, so I wrote lorem and then I pressed a tab, so it gave me this text. Okay, pre-written text. Okay, so this is for a paragraph. This is a paragraph tag. We will talk about this individually. So it will represent this content in the form of paragraph. Okay, so now let's suppose there is another tag, or let's now focus on this tag only. Okay, so now this is a paragraph tag, and this will be represented, this will be rendered on our browser. Now let's save this file, and to run this file we will go on to the location wherein we stored this file, that is on the desktop, and we will click on this first, and we'll double click on this file, and this will give me this content that was present on that file. Okay, so now if you see, this is the lorem ipsum content, and it is rendered on our browser.
Debugging your code, right? If let's suppose you have some bugs in your program, right, and you wasted quite a good amount of time while solving that, right? So after some time you were able to solve that, and you put a comment in here saying that, okay, this is the thing, I got stuck here, and then I did this thing, and then I rectified it, and after some time I did this solution. So you write that solution in the comments. Next time when you see your code, you get to know, okay, here is the thing where I got stuck, and this is what I did. Okay, this helps us to debug our code, remember our code. It makes it readable, it makes it easy for others to understand our code, right? It can be also used for documentation, right? Documenting your code, right? So there are 3 different ways in HTML with which you can write comments. Okay, the first is single line, then there is multiple line. So single line comment is that if you wrote a single let's suppose you have written some paragraph tag and you don't want it to be displayed, so it's a single line paragraph. So what you would write, you will make it you will write the comment sign. There is a comment sign which I will show you. Once we are done with this thing, we will just cover all the demonstration part of it. Okay, so there is a single line comment, there is a multiple line comment, and it is supported by Internet Explorer. The browser that I am going to use is Google Chrome, so this comment tag won't work. But if you want to give it a try, you can just you can keep your default browser as Internet